Welcome back to First Look, the show where we take a sneak peek at an upcoming game that you probably haven't seen. Today we're going to be looking at the Batman Who Laughs Rising. Yes, you heard that, it's a mouthful. This one's from the same people who brought you Thanos Rising from the Marvel side of things, and also the Harry Potter themed Death Eaters Rising. With this one, they've definitely tweaked the Rising system to ramp up the difficulty, and the part of the Batman universe that they're using, I've never seen before. In fact, let's start there actually. This game pulls from DC's Dark Multiverse for sure, which has versions of the classic characters you might be familiar with, but with a very twisted death metal sort of vibe. The specific storyline that lends to this game has the Batman Who Laughs and his team of Dark Knights, as they're called, intent on destroying the positive multiverse. It's all very complicated comic book layers upon layers, but suffice it to say there's some pretty dark stuff going on here. The Dark Knights are a mashup of Batman and one other member from the Justice League, or something associated with them anyway. For example, you've got the Devastator, who is clearly part Doomsday and maybe a little bit of Batman. I'm going to assume you know who Doomsday is, but if you don't, he killed Superman, so you know he's very, very powerful. Along with him, there's the Red Death, modeled after the Flash, the Drowned inspired by Aquaman, and 3 other Dark Knights inspired by other members of the Justice League. And the ringleader of all of them, and the main boss for this game for sure, is the Batman Who Laughs. Now, as you might have guessed, this is a combination of Batman and his arch-nemesis, the Joker. And like the other Rising games, he's the one in the middle of the board that turns around from sector to sector, and the main guy that you have to defeat. This is easily their most detailed figure to date, and it is super creepy. Just look at the evil Robins around the base. I'll tell you a little bit more about those guys in a minute. Now, the way these Dark Knights come out into play and how players even have a chance at attacking the Batman Who Laughs, that's really what sets this game apart from the others. At the beginning of the game, you'll set up the Dark Knight track, which leads all the way up to the Batman Who Laughs. The 6 other spaces will hold one of the Dark Knights, which are randomly placed face down. As the game progresses, the Dark Knights will be revealed one by one and actually come into the game on top of the draw pile. This does a couple different things for the game. First, it adds a ton of tension because players see the progression of all the Dark Knights sitting right there in front of them, but they don't see exactly which one until it's triggered, it's added to the draw pile, and then ultimately flipped over around the board. Not to mention that when those cards are removed from the track, nasty abilities are revealed. And players have to go through all of this in order to even get access to the Batman Who Laughs. These Rising games don't kid around with difficulty, and like I said, this one raises the bar even more. Now, on the heroes front, this game has 4 different teams, but they're built more around characteristics than they are DC properties. These are going to be things like determination and power. However, there are some leaders that you're probably familiar with. You've got Batman, of course, heading up the determination team. Hawkgirl is leading the justice team. Green Lantern is the leader of the purpose team, and the power team is led by Wonder Woman. And those are who players just start with. This whole game is built around rolling dice and striking a balance between attacking the bad guys or recruiting allies that then in turn help you attack those bad guys. And the allies in this game are also not exactly what you might expect. There's the usual suspects, of course, but they've also got a few unorthodox teammates as well. All of these can be recruited by any leader, regardless of their innate team affiliation, and they'll typically mitigate or enhance your dice. And of course, it's not just the allies and the Dark Knights in that deck. You're going to find some other villains in there too. You've got the Court of Owls, which you may be familiar with, the Strigety, which are cultists that are effectively trying to summon their bat god from the Dark Multiverse, and then of course you've got those creepy little Robins. All those guys round out the very dark and twisted take on Batman that this game has. If you're a fan of the other Rising games or just enjoy a surprisingly challenging co-op, you might want to look into this one as it gets closer to release. That is the Batman Who Laughs Rising. I think they're shooting for a September release this year, but check the links below for more details. If you have any questions at all, make them in the comments below. Do all the subscribing and the liking and the clicking of the bells. Follow us on all of our social media, and we'll see you next time.